people are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Now, normally this week we would be covering a little bit more on the Mayor Adams situation here in New York City. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There were raids at the Department of Education and a couple of other offices that belong to City Hall. And we have some more people that are either leaving or being indicted to the situation. But we're going to leave that to next week as we continue to monitor this situation. Plus, we're also monitoring another issue that's coming on a trial that we've been waiting a long time for, the Mercedes Carrere trial. But we wanted to focus on this week. And this is something that basically was on one of the Sunday shows on ABC. It was talked about. And it is the migrant gangs. Yes, we're going to be talking about that this week. And we have a major situation that's going on here. It is really a major situation. Why? Because we have so many illegal migrants, and I say it, they're illegal. The thing about it is, people want to say, well, they're migrants. They come in. No. Understand. If they were legitimate, if they were legal, they would have come through a legal process. I still have friends who have come to this country. Okay, they've come to America legally and still waiting to be made American citizens. But meanwhile, they're trying to push these people to the front of the line. Now, I grew up, and I'll tell you that, I grew up through, I was born in the 60s, grew up 60s, 70s, 80s. In the 1980s, we had the Mariana boat lift. Now, most people say that it's a humanitarian situation, started that. Yes and no. Here's the situation. You had Castro that emptied out his jails, mental asylums, and anyone who disagreed with Castro and his regime. Meanwhile, across the way over in Haiti, the president at that time period as well decided to do the same, empty out his prisons and mental asylums and everything, and throw it over to America. And what we had in the end was a major crime wave, not only in Florida, but going up the East Coast into New York.
These detectives of New York's 48th Precinct are assigned to a special crime task force created solely to combat crimes committed by Cuban refugees, boat people. 1,000 Cuban refugees have been arrested in New York since the beginning of the year, most in the Bronx. Police are convinced these men and a handful of women are the criminal element admitted into the U.S. when Castro emptied his prisons.
They admit to being professional criminals, bandits or banditos as they refer to themselves.
They're like kids in a candy store here.
They make their way to the Bronx through the Cuban Corridor, a direct pipeline to New York from Florida. Having once lived under the tight controls of communist Cuba, they bask under the constitutional guarantees of the U.S. and thrive in the permissive lifestyle of the Bronx.
And it was a major situation, to the point that the police departments had to change their hiring practices because there was not enough police on the street to handle the situation. Those practices haven't changed since then. They haven't moved back to the way originally the way they used to hire police officers. It still continues the way, and that's why you see police officers that are not the right height, not the right weight, that are on these police forces. If there's a great episode of Dragnet where they talk. They're doing like a town meeting with Sergeant Friday, and one guy comes up. He's a short guy, and he says, "Why can't I be a police officer?" And he says, "Well, we hire guys about 6 foot tall, and there's a reason for that, because basically people will look up to that situation, and you get lesser problems that way." But you have all these people saying, "Well, we got to be diverse and this, and that." No, if the person is the right person for the job, that's what's important. That's what's very important. Doesn't matter what creed, color, gender that they are. And this is the situations we went through for many, many years, and it took many years just to clear this up. Now, fast forward 2024, we have it all over again. We have this administration right now, the Biden-Harris administration, which now the VP wants to become president, but she was border czar. Yes, she was, before anyone denies it. There's plenty of evidence out there, plenty of articles, plenty of news reports that says she was, as much as they deny it today, that allowed this many people across the border. And now we're dealing with MS-13, Tren de Aragua, which is from Venezuela, and who knows what else they allowed into this country. And here in New York, well, you have these gangs in the migrant shelters. They've taken over these shelters, and they're basically recruiting those in the shelters to work for them. A lot of them are kids. And we're having major situations throughout the city. All you got to do is look at Roosevelt Avenue in Queens. And, and I got to throw this out there. Here is our temporary police chief, or the commissioner, with Cass Daltrey, doing a photo op in that neighborhood where the prostitution is high, the basically stolen goods are being sold on the streets, Social Security cards, passports, and like that being sold as well. And you have many people scared to come around. Businesses are losing money left and right. Possibly they may have to shut down. You have people selling food out there without a license. Some of them cooking on shopping carts. Yeah, that's right, on shopping carts. That's pretty much a health hazard right there. That is a real major health hazard. But let me just put this out there for you.
Right now we're on Roosevelt Avenue. It's about 7:15, 7:30. And as I was briefing the commissioner early this morning around 9 o'clock, when I came into One Police Plaza, immediately he asked me about Roosevelt Avenue. I gave him a quick update synopsis from crime to quality of life conditions that we're seeing on Roosevelt Avenue. And he said, Kaz, I want to go out there tonight and see what you're seeing. So, Commissioner, as you can see, he's very concerned of what's going on Roosevelt Avenue. We got the borough commander here, Christine Berstenbach, the Queens North commander. Christine, can you just give the commissioner an overview of exactly what's happening?
What goes on Roosevelt Avenue is a lot of different conditions here. Right. If you take a look around, you'll see that we have folks that are vending on the corners. Right. You'll see women that are scantily clad on the street, offering services of massages. So we do have a lot of prostitution that goes on here. It is a team effort that we use here with our patrol officers, our vice officers, a really big collaboration to really address the issues that are going on here.
You can see they're they're walking up and down and everything like that, and it's like it's another day. But you want to know something? When they left, everybody was back out again doing business. They're not afraid to do the business because it's the gangs that are running them. Whether it's the Chinese, whether it's the Tren de Aragua, which Tren de Aragua has been known to be in there now, whether it is the cartels as well. You know, this is what's going on, and they're getting away with it, and they're allowed to get away with it. As many times as the police have gone in there to break it up, it hasn't been broken up permanently. And now, now we got a situation here in Times Square. Yes, that, ladies and gentlemen, yes, in the middle of Times Square, we have migrant gangs doing crimes and getting away with it. Don't take it from me. Take it from the New York Post that has been reporting about this. Let's read into this article. Babyface Tren de Aragua crew at NYC migrant shelters targets Times Square, and they're getting away with it. A brutal crew of babyface Tren de Aragua migrant gangbangers at a city-funded Manhattan shelter are pulling off armed robberies in Times Square, and they're getting away with it, officials and sources say. Nearly 24 young migrant thugs, some as young as 11 years old. Yes, as young as 11 years old. We had that 11-year-old that was arrested in Central Park for stealing a cell phone from somebody. Are part of a dangerous asylum-seeking brat pack that has graduated from purse snatches to gunpoint heists targeting New Yorkers and tourists alike, a top NYPD official told the Post. But they're managing to stay out of jail because of their ages and the Empire State's lenient criminal justice laws, Detective Bureau Assistant Chief Jason Savo said. Yes, D.A. Bragg is letting these kids back out again. They're not dealing with the situation. They're like, well, you know, they're coming from somewhere. They had a hard life as such situation, but they're violating the law. Let me ask you a question. If I did this in, say, Thailand or China or even Mexico, would I just be let out of jail? No, fuck no. You have individuals that are brazen, Savo said. We know they have access to guns, evident by the fact they've done gunpoint robberies, and they've been brazen enough to showcase pistols in and around their social media accounts. This is the first formulated group that, well, it's not the first, really, that we have found where this group is about 20 individuals that in a pack format hang out every day. They post on social media. They boast about their crews. The chief said, you see little pockets in and around Times Square and in and around shelters. But as far as the true threshold, it has been limited to shelters. No, it is getting out. Well, Post is partially wrong. They're getting outward into the streets. Calling themselves Los Diablos de la 42, Spanish for the Little Devils of 42nd Street, the crew is about 21 gang members and been busting for about 50 separate incidences, and yet no one is behind bars, Savo said. They've committed the robberies in all the sexy places in and around Central Park and in and around Times Square and in and around transit, he said, targeting tourists. They kind of had graduation of sorts and a progression where originally it started as snatches and then went to strong-arm robberies and then started brandishing knives in a pack format. This gets dangerous, folks, ladies and gentlemen. This gets really dangerous. You know, what do we have to do? Wait till somebody is dead? Is that what you want to do? God hoping that this doesn't happen. But is that what you're waiting for before dealing with this situation? Also, the worry for New York's finest is possibly that an all-out gang war could erupt with TDA and one of the Big Apple's most notorious gangs, the Latin Kings. And I've said this on this show. I've said this many times on Man with the Show. There's a gang war coming. There are gangs here. Latin Kings is just one of them. And there are many others that have already been embedded between Latin gangs. You have Russians. You got the Asian gangs. You got all these gangs that are throughout New York City. And it's going to come to head. God help us if this turns into a bloody war. According to the authorities, a dispute between the two gangs dates back several years to an alleged murder of a TDA member by a Latin king, with the feud still a sore point. TDA, which grew out of poverty and corruption that has long plagued Venezuela, established a criminal foothold in the 5 boroughs in little more than a year. Law enforcement sources said gang members hid among the millions of asylum seekers who've crossed the U.S. border with Mexico since 2022, then scattered throughout the country. Members are told to get distinctive tattoos and mark them as members with the tattoo art, typically including anchors, clocks, crowns, and phrases that include the word guerrero, which means warrior in Spanish, but also pays homage to Hector Nero Guerrero, the leader of the gang in Venezuela. The gang tats also tend to feature the number 23, or NBA star Michael Jordan and LeBron James, both who wear the number on their jerseys, while they also include images of Bulls, seemingly a shout out to the Chicago Bulls basketball team, a city where TDA have flourished, sources said. In New York, the gang members exploited the city's migrant shelter system, running robbery crews as well as trafficking drugs, guns, and sex workers under the noses of private security guards, according to the sources. The Diablos crew out of Roosevelt Hotel is guided by an older gangbanger who recruits the youngsters to pull off robberies before bringing them back the loot, sometimes as an initiation into the gang, sources said. The group members hang out in packs with the younger recruits and will be there when the kids pull off the crime, perhaps steal a chain from a passerby. Punishing for failure could mean forced to lick the floor of a city subway car or worse, Savino said. Communications between crew members takes place offline, where they brazenly post exploits, he added. The group uses chat on their government-issued phones, see what I mean? So that you know what they're using, and the group's app is tilted according to their gang, really, and they're using their government phones. Recruiters also pick youngsters who are unlikely to be charged as adults to join their ranks. In August, police suspected an 11-year-old accused subway mugger from Venezuela who is living at the Roosevelt was tied to TDA. Once in custody, the boy was given a juvenile card and released. In addition to the young age of some of these gang members, the state criminal justice reforms prohibit bail for misdemeanors and felonies, which means TDA suspects are often released according to some law enforcement. It is a product of bail reform, Salvo told the Post, but we try some in criminal court, someone unsuccessfully. See, and this is the reason why we need to get rid of the sanctuary city designation. Because if this kid would have been arrested with ICE being here in New York, he would have been taken by ICE and deported back to Venezuela immediately. See, the thing is that people said, well, they've come from, the hard on that. Yeah, they don't need to steal. They don't need to do the crimes that they're doing. And they already violated one crime by crossing the border. That is the first crime that they did. Who knows what crimes they did on the opposite end of the border. But most likely, if they were already recruited by TDA on the other side of the border, they were going to commit crimes on this side. And there are reports. I think it was at Viral New York NYC. You can get it on Twitter, X/Twitter. He has been reporting that there's been some issues at a Bronx migrant shelter where there's been drugs, crimes, and prostitution, even right in front of the security guards at those migrant shelters out there in the Bronx. This has been happening. Nobody's doing anything. You have Mayor Adams just sitting back and says, well, crime, it's okay here. It's okay here. We've lowered crime, which is a total lie. We have this major situation that's going on, and it's only going to escalate. We had that Martha Raddatz situation on ABC where she downplayed the whole Aurora, Colorado thing. Going like, let me play it again for you. Let's play that again, because that is the most funniest shit I've ever seen on a Sunday morning news show.
People are terrified by what has happened with some of these Venezuelan gangs.
Senator Vance, I'm going to stop you because I know exactly what happened.
Martha.
I'm going to stop you. The incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, and the mayor said our dedicated police officers have acted on those concerns. A handful of problems.
Only, Martha, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes in America were taken over by Venezuelan gangs, and Donald Trump is the problem and not Kamala Harris's open border? Americans are so fed up with what's going on, and they have every right to be. And I really find this exchange, Martha, sort of interesting because you seem to be more focused with nitpicking everything that Donald Trump has said rather than acknowledging that apartment complexes in the United States of America are being taken over by violent gangs.
Yeah, she played it out. As much as I don't like J.D. Vance, and I'll tell you this straight out, I don't like some of the things he's said in the past and what he's done. The things I disagree with him, but I agree with him with this. And what he had to say. He said, "Do you hear yourself?" Radis was saying, like,
well, there are some people that just, there's some places that did get, jumped by gangs, but, we don't need to worry about that. It'll solve itself in the end.
I mean, the density of some of these people in media. I mean, this is just a pitch. And remember, ABC is owned by Disney. The same company that put out some of the most awful films in history recently. And the problems that they're having in their amusement parks. And recreation centers and stuff, in hotels and the things. This company, they need to really, truly slap down more than what Florida is doing to them. Because you have a network right now that is just literally a propaganda mill for the left. Yeah, I said it. I really said it. ABC has become a propaganda mill for the left. It's a shame. ABC used to be such a forefront with the news. You had that Nightline, and you had the other Sunday news shows, and some of the local stuff too, which, used to be really good. You have one show that is dedicated to Hispanics. It's not like it used to be. The show is not like it used to be. The local news, it's still cringy here. Eyewitness News on there. World News is just a little joke. And then when they try to do a debate, it was a total failure. And you could see that. People were upset on how this went. Shutting off a mic is not a debate because you don't like what they're going to interject. No matter who it is, you don't cut someone's mic off. A debate is to debate one another on the policies that you're trying to push to be elected to whatever seat you're going to, or whether it's presidential, mayoral. Go and look at the last mayor, for New York, the debates, and look at the interaction that everybody had. That's all you got to look at. That's the way it's supposed to be. But yet Rome is burning. Those on top are like Nero fiddling away as the place burns down. I mean, is that what they want? Is that what they truly want? What is going into their pockets? This administration is the most corrupt. You figure that New Orleans had a corrupt administrations down there. This is, this takes it to a new high. And of course, you have Mayor Adams going, well, it's because I spoke up. Bullshit. Because you had another candidate that was running for mayor, Andrew Yang, who called you out during the mayor election saying that you were already under investigations by several entities, including the Obama administration. If you don't believe me, here, let me play this.
Mr. Yang, 15-second response.
Sure. Eric, we all know that you've been investigated for corruption everywhere you've gone. city, state, even Barack Obama's Department of Justice investigated you. You've achieved the rare trifecta of corruption investigations. Is that really what we want in the next mayor? Do you think you're going to enter City Hall and it's going to be different? We all know it's going to be exactly the same. That's why so many people on the stage don't want you to be mayor.
So many people on the stage, I guess they want you to be mayor. What am I missing here? Andrew,
I think you're both right. You both should be mayor.
Let's be clear on something, Andrew. There was no investigation that came up and said Eric did anything wrong. And you should never get in a point as a person of color that's wrongly accused often in this country, you should never get in a point that to determine that because someone reviews something that they did something wrong.
Eric,
you should apologize. You should apologize for making that comment.
Saying that this is simply because you're black, I just don't think it's correct, given that there are other candidates of color on the stage who have not been the subject of the investigations that you have. Front page news of the New York Times, broke the CFB's fundraising rules. Like everywhere you've gone, Eric, people look and see that you don't pay attention to the rules of the road. You're unprincipled. Like you actually advised New Yorkers last summer to go confront their neighbors over illicit fireworks, and a woman followed your advice, Shatavia Walls, and she lost her life.
And yet he interacted with race again there, saying, "Oh, you got to apologize to me. Apologize that you interacted that I'm a black man and this, this guy is so arrogant. He is so arrogant. As I said, I put on the front page.
Arrogance and stupidity all in the same package. How efficient of you.
I said before, innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, but more and more, this guy needs to go. I mean, we're getting more situations on the situation, to the point where how much corruption, how much he's gotten paid off onto his elections and stuff like that. How much did the top ends of the police department, Department of Education, and many others that they've gotten money in their pockets. I mean, there's even talk, the guy to replace with the public advocate is also being scrutinized because he took in money from the same donor that Mayor Adams took money from. People say, well, that's a nothing burger. No, it's not. It's a situation, and it must be investigated. Now, I'm not going to blame the police rank and file for what is going on the streets of New York. They're only given their marching orders from the top, and it comes to a situation where and people have been calling it. There are those politicians, especially like on Roosevelt Avenue, they're asking the governor, we need state police, we need the National Guard on Roosevelt Avenue, and we're probably going to need it on Times Square as well. We need to ramp up these arrests, allow ICE to take them, and let them handle it and have them deported. They committed crimes, even if they were legal migrants. By committing a crime violates your stay here. Even if you're here for school, even if you're here to become an American citizen, whatever, if you got to agree, you can be deported back for violating American laws, local or federal. Any small local crime technically becomes a federal crime because ICE would step in and pull them. That's what they are supposed to do. But yet, you got these freaking activists. They said, well, we have to protect the families. We have to protect the children.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
But see, that, these gangs know that. And that's why they have gang members that are under the age of 18. As young as 11 for that reason, because they would be let go. That's why they do it. I mean, the cartels have been using kids as hitmen for a long time now. Because they know if they get caught, they're going to be like, oh, he's a kid, he was raised on a bad situation and stuff like that. Think to the perspective. You remember that girl that killed her mom and shot her stepdad? She got life. Yeah, she got life. Because it wasn't that she had problems. Her mother caught her with drugs. And she was upset about that. And she pulled out a Magnum and unloaded that Magnum into her mother. And then called her best friend to come on over and say, hey, you want to see a dead body? And then when her dad came home, she tried to unload on him, but he was able to stop her, even though he was shot. And she ran away, and they still arrested her, tried her, convicted her. And people said, well, basically that was extensive. Really? Really extensive. Say that to their mother, their dead mother that's right now, that she's in the ground now because of her daughter. And she was found competent to stand trial. Because people say, well, maybe she had mental health. She was found competent. There are evil people in the world, even as children. Yeah, they need help, these kids. But the thing about it is, our schools are not doing right. Certain parents are not doing right. Those who have gotten warnings in our law enforcement, a lot of these school shootings could have been avoided if they followed through by investigating it fully. Because every time you hear just recently shooting, said, yeah, they were on our radar, but we kind of fell off on it. It's like it's the same thing with Martha Raddatz would say. It's just only a couple of people that a couple of complexes. It's nothing. It's a nothing burger. It's a situation. It's being taken care of. But this is what we're going through constantly. Stop the insanity and take care of business. That's what I say. It's time to step up. Put politicians in office that are going to do the job. We got to put district attorneys and judges into courtrooms that are going to prosecute to the fullest extent within the Constitution. Stop looking at cases that are just literally based on nothing and prosecute the true criminals. So let me know in the comments below your thoughts about this. Especially those of you who are my viewers here in New York, what are your thoughts on these Tren de Aragua gangs that are now, they're entrenched in Times Square now. They've already entrenched themselves in the Bronx. They've entrenched themselves in Roosevelt Avenue. Expecting other places in Brooklyn and Staten Island for them to head for next. But it's going to turn into a bloodbath, ladies and gentlemen. I hope I'm wrong on this. Because there are other gangs throughout the city that have been here a lot longer than TDA. And they're going to they're going to step on the wrong tiger's tail. And it's going to turn ugly. So let me know in the comments. Don't forget to share this video. Hit the like. And hopefully today's the day I've earned your subscription. Please hit that little button down there. We really do appreciate it. It moves us on the ranks wherever you're watching this, whichever social media platform, YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute. Once again, we do apologize to our BitChute viewers. If you're watching this on another social media platform, we do apologize. We've been having some issues on uploads. Hopefully, we'll be able to resolve that as soon as possible, so stay tuned. But do also, please register on other social media platforms. And this is the situations we keep talking about. One day, we may not be on a particular platform, but you'll get our videos on out of other sources. And also, thank you for clicking on this video, because there are thousands and thousands of videos you could have chosen, but you chose this one. So until next time, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check out Otaco Thursday. That's right, we got a nice little segment on every Thursday now at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on this social media platform. We talk anime, we talk manga, we tell you what's been going on. We have a little discussion on some of the shows that are out there, my thoughts. So until next time, thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.